What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that is the most important thing you can do with me on this channel. What it does is that it helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get the notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, that does also help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm also. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we are headed back to New Venezuela, formerly known as New York City, because we have to discuss and report on the recent massive brawl that broke out on the Randall's Island migrant shelter between African and Hispanic illegal immigrants. Now, let's jump into this article here for some more detail as to what actually happened. This article is titled "Feuding Migrant Groups Brawl at Randall's Island Shelter After Stabbing." And the article reads as such: "Bad blood boiled over between feuding groups of migrants at Randall's Island shelter Friday night as a brawl broke out following an earlier stabbing," police sources said. Half a dozen migrants from Africa and South America duked it out around 8 p.m. at the massive Manhattan tent city that is no stranger to unruly behavior, the sources said. The melee erupted after a 25-year-old African migrant was stabbed in the left shoulder by an attacker from the rival group, according to the NYPD and sources. The man was taken to a Harlem hospital in stable condition, cops said. A large disorderly group got into a fight in the wake of the attack, requiring extra officers to descend on the pop-up shelter, according to police. Brothers Josue and Moises Delon, Hispanics, 19 and 27 years old, respectively, were arrested in connection to the stabbing and hit with assault charges, the NYPD said. An 18-year-old, an African migrant, was also detained for his role in the brawl and was given a summons for disorderly conduct and release. And as we scroll down here, here is the photo of the 18-year-old African migrant who was arrested for his role in the brawl. Now scroll down a little bit more and it continues to read, sources said Friday's fight was a result of ongoing tensions between both groups. The late night melee is nothing new at Randall's Island shelter, which was erected last August to ease the city's overwhelming migrant crisis. In April, 5 men were charged with assault for their part in a rowdy fight that left one asylum seeker suffering a stab wound and 4 intervening security guards injured. That same month, a migrant viciously attacked and bit a security guard who tried to cool down a fight between the man and his wife. There was also a fatal stabbing at the site in January when one migrant attacked his fellow asylum seeker who had been talking to his girlfriend. Now, for those of you who don't know, this migrant shelter on Randall's Island, the nickname for this shelter is the Death Shelter. That's what it has been coined because that's what it's known for. It is known for the violence and the brawls that frequently break out here. Now, what I want to do is take a moment to play roughly about a minute and a half of a longer 3-minute video in which we're just going to see what it looked like on the ground when the police had to rush into the shelter to make some arrests. The longer version of this video I will leave linked in the description box below, but like I said, we're only going to watch maybe roughly about a minute and a half of it right now. Now, what I'd like to do is come into the comment section of this article. And I know some people may poo-poo that I'm going to read the comment section of this article for us to get a firsthand look at what it's like on the ground from those who live there. I get it. It's the comment section. This person doesn't even have their real name up. So how do we know this is even real? The reason that I tend to believe that this is an accurate account of what it's like there is because as we're going to read this comment that was left, if they wanted to lie and make things sound worse than what it actually is, then the comment that I'm getting ready to read would sound a lot more salacious than what we're getting ready to hear. So to me, upon reading this and reading the article that we just went through, it sounds like this is a very accurate depiction of what's going on the ground. So let's get into this comment here. And it reads, I live in the area and exercise on Randall's Island a few times a week. Was there yesterday actually before this happened. It is like walking through a prison yard. The different groups set up camp according to skin color and nationality. When I walk by, people are sizing me up and trying to figure out my race looking at what I'm wearing. A few weeks ago, they would set up little stores on the end of the bridge where they sold drinks and joints. Mopeds go speeding through groups of pedestrians over the bridge. You don't see many women there, mainly fit young men of fighting age. To be honest, I find it fascinating to walk through it all, but at the end, it ain't good for the country or the city. And I will say that's saying the very least. To say the very least, it's not good for the country or the city. I do want to highlight the portion here that this individual stated when they said it's mainly men. You don't see too many women there. What we have to understand, and most of you know this already because we've discussed this so many times before, women and children and families, air quote families, they get priority. So women, children, and families are typically placed in actual housing, if not in five-star hotels where their families can be better accommodated. At these shelters, like what we see here on Randall's Island, they are almost always exclusively 90 some odd percent single adult males. Almost always exclusively single adult males. And a lot of people have been discussing closing down Randall's Island, but I think that that's a horrible idea. It's a horrible idea to close down Randall's Island just to unleash these single adult males with nowhere to live, nowhere to go, no money, and no work, who are already causing a ruckus amongst themselves. To release them upon the citizen population would just be complete havoc, in my opinion. The only answer, and I think we all know where I'm going with this, is mass deportations. If we're being honest, that's literally the only answer, is mass deportation. Nothing else outside of that makes logical sense. When you're looking at all of the stories that continue to come out of these single adult males that are committing vicious crimes amongst the citizen population, the idea of closing this shelter and releasing them amongst the population, to me, is pure insanity. We all understand that what's happening here right now is mass asylum fraud. None of these folks were trying to come here during the Trump administration because they all knew it would have been a waste of time. The overwhelming majority of them would have been tossed back to their countries immediately or would have been forced to remain in Mexico. And that's not what they wanted. It would have been a waste of their money to be smuggled up to America. They're all here simply because Biden is in office and they knew that Biden would open the borders to them. And here they are. That's why they're here, all pretending to be asylum seekers, something that they are not. So once again, in closing, shutting down Randall's Island is a horrible idea. Mass deportation is the right idea. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram will be in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. And until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.